So that is just in terms of ranking. Because for me, to be honest, ranking is important, but it's not everything. You know, for example, even in football, I give you an example. You look at the world rankings, say Brazil is ranked so high, but you got another thing which is lower ranked, but you can still beat them at any one good day, you know. So ranking is just to say that, oh, you've played so many games and you've won certain games. So it's just a way of calculating what you've actually done, you know. So even in hockey, today we are number 11 in the world. Canada is number 10 in the world. Pakistan is number 17 today. It doesn't mean that they can't. So for me, a lot of people give a lot of emphasis on this, but it's also important because of the opportunities that you have, you know, in terms of playing easier teams and the point system, etc. But I think the bigger change that we actually brought is we're actually seriously looking into the welfare of the states. So when we came on board in 2015, first time ever, the board decided that we should actually help the states, because when I came into Malaysian hockey, before this I was 7 years involved in Selangor hockey, 2 years as a deputy president, and I think the biggest issue that hockey has, or any sport for the matter except for football, is that a lot of state leaders fail to realize that there's a lot of value in hockey, not only for the success of the sport, but it actually creates a lot of avenue for young children to play hockey and to bring so-called discipline and a lot of lifestyle issues which they should actually help out. Unfortunately, today not many states are actually assisting the state hockey associations. That's why when I was a president of Selangor, the biggest issue that we had was we never got funding. Let me say that, never got funding from the state government, you know, which we're actually going around, which I started the other day because MCO we stopped, but we went to a few states actually chatting with the state exco who's in charge of sports, and also sometimes to the state leaders, because today we have a lot of state presidents who are doing it on their own, fair enough, but how many state presidents can actually do it on their own? For how long? So when I was there in Selangor hockey also, I felt that the biggest issue that we need to do is make sure that each state should have a state league. For example, before I came on board, 7 years there was no state league. So how do the national body actually come and select and choose talent? Because the only way you can do that is to have as many competitions and tournaments in state levels. So these state presidents also had issue because they didn't have the funding. You know, to do one tournament, let's say a state league costs you about 80,000 ringgit, Okay, fair enough, they find the money to sponsor 80,000 ringgit. But then what's going to happen after that? And a lot of sponsors also would love to work with us, the parent body, rather than the states, because they feel that working with the parent body, they get more publicity and their money's worth. So I think the biggest issue that I felt coming into MHC, a lot of people fail to realize that in order for you to come into the parent association, make sure you do your job in your state first. It's not about after 2-3 months you think that you can change the world, you want to come on board. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to understand what is actually the problem in the state level, and the biggest problem that we see was funding. So that's why when I came on board, the first thing that we decided, especially with the board collectively, that we should find ways and means to assist the state. So we started off giving grants, which is 50,000 a year to every state, and this only started first time ever in 2015. That's because we managed to convince Tenaga Nasional Berhad, which is our main sponsor today, to give us a 5-year contract. And Tenaga also allocated that 50,000 will be given to each state to help them in organizing state leagues. So out of that 50,000, what we do is we give 10,000 for administration grants. It's not big money, but it is good, because before they never got a single cent. But today you actually give them 50,000 to run the state league. So there's no reason why a state president or state body says that, look, I can't do a state league. We're giving you the money, but we give you a 10,000 administration grant, and then they have to come up with a proposal saying that this is what we're going to do, this is when it's going to start, this is where it's going to end. So then we give you the balance, 20,000, and after you have completed your state league, then you give us your documentations, proof, pictures and all. We also be invited for the tournaments, and then we'll give you the balance. So 50,000 is given to each state. We're also in the process, thinking how to help them more. The only problem is we also do not want the states to feel content saying that, look, I'm a president, MAC is giving me the money, so let me just take the money and run it. No, it shouldn't be that way. We also want the state presidents and the state body also to have enough responsibility of their own, also to start working towards finding funding, money to have a long-term sustainability or long-term funding. So this is what we're heading. But definitely we want to assist. But we also think that by being prudent and spending well, we're thinking we actually see if everything goes well. No promises, but we might even try to increase what we give it, because we see that there are some states are actually seriously doing that. I don't want to name which states, but there are some states who are very serious in doing development, doing competitions, etc. So we feel that 50,000 is not enough. We should assist them more, but that will depend after our executive board decides, and maybe next year when everything's get better, because now with the COVID, it's very difficult to find funds and sponsorships, and we also understand that the states will also be having that issue. But on top of the 50,000, we're actually giving extra for grants. So every time the team participates, we give them a little grant. So overall, we spend about 80,000 ringgit for each and every state team in this country. So I think there's a lot of money, 80,000 ringgit, a lot of money. And I think this was never done ever before. 2015, when we came on board, that's when we started this. So that's some changes that we've done. The second thing is, we make sure that our sponsors actually sit in our, so for example, Tenaga National is our sponsor. We make sure that a representative from Tenaga National actually sits in our finance committee, and also other sponsors sit in other committees to show that there's transparency, and also like you said you keep mentioning about corporate governance, etc. Sometimes people just say about corporate governance, they don't really understand what it means actually. They feel that by saying corporate governance, they're doing it. They're not. Sometimes you don't need to mention the word, but actually you're doing it. So for us, I think we practice that from day one, and also we make sure that each and every sponsor that is with us will know how we actually spend the money. So this is something that we've brought together with us, good values, that we feel that this is another way of us attracting more sponsors. For example, Tenaga National, before this, they were always supportive of hockey, as you know from history, from the Kilat days, etc. in 75 World Cup, whatever. They've always been supportive of us. But it was always an ad hoc basis, Whenever there's a tournament, we submit a proposal, they give you the money. So we knew that this will not happen. We need long-term sustainability, long-term planning, budgeting, etc. So we came up with a proposal. We presented to the board 2015. We managed to get 4 million a year from Tenaga National, and the contract ended last year, and this year they extended for another 6 years. So hey, look, 6 years from now we don't know whether we'll be around or not, but actually there is proper funding for the sport, and we're also in the process of actually convincing them to give more, and they have actually happy to do so, but because of the COVID situation going on in the country now, so it's a bit difficult for everyone, every sponsor, so even government, as you know, they support us, but only 1/3 of our sponsorship comes from government. The rest we have to look for ourselves. But TNB would not be on board with us if it's not because of the way we manage our funds, because they know how we spend. They come on board, they sit with us in our finance committee, we share our views, we tell how we use our money for, and they believe in us. That is why they've actually decided, and this is not decided by one individual, it goes to the board. So the whole board of TNB actually endorsed another 6-year contract for Malaysian hockey, which is fantastic, because as you know, now times are bad, but still if somebody is willing to come on board, that means that they really believe in us, and we're quite happy with that also.